Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So, it's been a while since I've covered Branded Despia, mostly because I'm not the most experienced with the deck, but especially with this new support coming in, I wanted to make sure that we had somebody who, well, was experienced with the deck. So, today on the channel, I'll be welcoming my friend Jay. You might also know them as I Miss Him, competing in various tournaments and topping with Branded as well. So, welcome on, Jay.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Glad to have you on, because like I said, I already kind of didn't feel like I know, or I already kind of felt like I didn't know what I was doing before with this deck, and that's definitely more true now with the new support here. So, yeah, before I guess we dive into either of our lists, because we'll talk about the list I have here, and then we'll show off the list that you've been using as well in a couple of games from each. So, but before we talk about the particular list, Branded, it's a pretty good deck right now, and it already got some new support too. So, to you, how impactful does this support feel? Like, is this a huge step up from where Branded was before?
Yeah, it's definitely a good change. The deck's really well positioned in the meta right now.
Mm-hmm.
The lines with Quem, the lines that Quem open up make the deck the skill ceiling so much higher.
It's funny because that's actually kind of intimidating for me to hear, because I already felt like this deck had a very, very high skill ceiling. Branded to me feels like one of those decks where, I mean, it doesn't feel like it is. You don't have any one particular combo line, right? It's a bunch of like moving parts that all work together.
Yep. Yeah, you just find them as you go.
Exactly, and I feel like especially as all these extra support comes out and they're all stacking up, like when you hit the end phase, like I feel like as a Branded player, both playing with or against, you'll throw out all your resources and they'll be like, okay, they're done now, and then end phase will just like get a +5 to your hand.
Yep, main phase 3.
main phase 3. That's good. So yeah, this Duelist Cup, I imagine Branded has been treating you pretty well for that.
Yep, I've been playing it. Having fun.
Right on. So the other thing too is that there are like so many different ways that you can play Branded. There's like, you know, a more standard 40 card list. I'm on 60 because I one didn't know and two can make up my mind of what I wanted to play. But there's also like Synchro Branded is a thing that I would definitely want to try. What do you think of all the different variants? Do you think any one is better than the other, or do you think they're like good for different reasons?
They all have their uses. It's usually just up to preference. You know, there are many different ways. Like you can play with the Nadir engine, you know, Allure of Darkness, higher Bystial count, and like generally the way that you build your deck can like influence the boards that you're going to typically end on.
That makes sense, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
I know too, in addition to, you know, obviously all like the newer support, like it's important to also look back at older Branded support. Like one thing I didn't realize at first is how much more important Titaniclad is now, being able to get a Dogmatica monster, which Quem always is.
Yeah, it's really good now.
Yeah, definitely. So then there's also, because I know if I don't bring this up, there's going to be at least one comment, but I'm sure multiple about it. Let's address the gimmick puppet nightmare in the room. How do you feel about using the lines for Albion the Sanctifier that basically put a lock, like the gimmick puppet on the opponent's board? Do you think that is an optimal way to play the deck, or do you think, you know, as the card is aimed, it is mostly a gimmick?
It's a gimmick. Like the gimmick puppet line doesn't usually leave you with much follow-up in hand. So if your opponent's on like a deck like Labyrinth that doesn't necessarily need to summon on their turn, they could just pass back to you and you just have no follow-up.
That makes sense. Yeah, one of the things that I've seen people say is that, especially in like a best of one, you're taking more of a chance doing a line like that.
Yep. It also loses a lot to graveyard hit, bestials, fall by. Standard stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is becoming, yeah, as you said, standard. Not just because, like, you know, obviously there's other decks like Mathmech and Dragonlink that are hurt by Bystials, but obviously this deck and then also Dragonlink are playing them too, so that definitely makes sense. Yeah, so one of the cards that I was trying out that was newer was Brightest Blazing Branded King. I really like that. One of the things that I do like about Branded's kind of like resource loop is the ability to set stuff up with the Albion. Like, I do think it's really cool that you can set up a fusion with Branded in red, or you can do a banishment. And now it seems that they have access to it's a board-wide negate too. It's face-up cards. What do you think of this card in particular? Because to me it seems like, I don't know, it just seems like some people are on it, some people aren't. I could see how maybe it might be a bit more of like a sideboard card. What's your opinion on this one in particular?
Yeah, I saw it. I was planning to test it. Like, I read the effect and it's pretty funny, but it negates everything. I'm pretty sure it also negates your cards as well.
It does,
except the one that you target with. Yeah. So it's interesting, maybe for against like evenly or something like that, or like a mass board negate, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, and that's kind of why I think maybe it might be a sideboard card. Not even because, like, you know, it's only good going first or second, but like you mentioned, it seems like it's good in like specific situations, right?
Yeah, niche case scenarios.
That makes sense. Okay. And then, yeah, like I said, Synchro Branded was another variant that I've been wanting to try out, that I just haven't gotten around to, you know, putting a list together for yet. Have you tried that one yet?
Yeah, as soon as the support came out, I immediately started.
So that was the first one you went with. Okay.
Yep, I was so excited to play it.
Right on. Yeah, how do you like that one?
Yeah, it's really fun. Like, it's not as good as a standard branded N-word, but when you pop off, you can really just go off.
It seems like it too, and it's just like you have like so many good like options. Of course, not only for the fusions because you're branded, but like for the synchros we can make too. Like, it's very nice. It seems very good.
Yeah, and Quem does a lot for the deck. She's so good.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how like this card can just just do so much. Also, one thing aesthetically that I want to point out about it, I actually saw this, I think it was on Reddit, on a post about it.
Oh, the meme?
The meme! I thought this was her leg! The whole time I thought this was her leg too! I never noticed! What the hell? That's good. Just had to point that out. Oh my god, yeah, that's like, that got me. I was like, no way. But there it is.
That was super funny.
Yeah, that's good. So the list that I have here is, like I said, I'm on 60 cards because I could not make up my mind. And also, again, because I am a little bit less experienced in the deck. I just wasn't sure what all, how crucial everything was. Now, of course, I have, like, extra copies. Like, I know you don't necessarily need, like, 2 Springans Kitt or all 3 Lubellion. But, you know, it's like if you're playing 60 cards, I feel like I might as well. The grass is, I don't know, it feels a little odd sometimes in Branded Despia. This is one of those decks where, like obviously grass is good. Like, we have a lot of things we want in the graveyard, but I don't know if you ever get this when you're playing a 60-card Branded build. I feel like sometimes I resolve this and it doesn't really change my current game state. Am I just, like, missing lines, or do you find that to be true sometimes when you play? I guess I don't know how often you play the 61-card build.
Yeah, I also find that to be true sometimes. Sometimes I'll just play 60 cards with no grass. I'll just play 60 cards. Yeah. Yeah,
it's funny. This is one of those decks, and I've always said this about Branded Despia too. The wild thing about this deck is that it has so many different things you can do. I feel like you could play any number between 40 and 60, and it would be, like, fine. Like, as long as you have enough gas, as you get a higher deck count, like, I feel like you'd just be 100% fine.
Yeah, there are so many good engines, so many different ways to play. It's so good, so fun.
Yeah, it is definitely. It's very, very good. Yeah, and then for the extra deck, I wanted to try the Lulu Lilith. I haven't actually summoned her yet myself, but I didn't play like too many games. It's like a literal handful of them so far. But how impactful do you think this card is in the extra deck?
I'm not playing it. It has basically the same effect as the Titanic Lad. But then, and the on-field negate, I don't really like negates that, like, you have to time it perfectly, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. going to a deck I do have a little more experience with. I can understand that with like Maxx sending the aggregator. It's like you really got to know exactly when you need to use it. And I can definitely, and actually I can see how, because with the, if you're getting off Granganol, you have even less control of when you actually get to do it. Like summon the Lilith, and then also, yeah, you have to do the condition to summon her off the Granganol, and then you also have to do her condition to get the effect off. So I can see how that might be a bit difficult for sure.
Yeah.
All right, and then let me go ahead and take a look over here, and I'll put up on the screen now, on the video here, the build you've been working with. Let's see, it's this list here that's 41 cards. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a very solid like list here. Feel free to talk about it if you like. Anything in particular you want to note?
Yeah, it's just super standard. I like Super Poly. Quem, it's always nice to have one in rotation, but also have one in deck to special summon off Titanic Lad. You know, you always really just want her on field because her effect is just so good.
Definitely. I actually really like that you have 3 Allure. Whenever I've played Allure in Branded in the past, I've pretty much always loved it. There are just some times where, again, for someone like me who doesn't play it as often, it's kind of hard to know what I can get away like without playing to include Allure, you know what I mean? I guess how much do you value Allure of Darkness?
In lists that are run cards like Super Poly, like I really want to be finding the Super Poly, so like the extra draws from Allure is really nice. Just the deck thinning, and then you have 2 good targets in Tragedy and Mercourier. So that's also pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, I love banishing either of those cards because you get the plus off of already drawing 2 on top of it as well. I see you got the Borload Furious as well. I haven't crafted one yet, but that card is extremely good. Definitely, for sure. So, the other thing too I wanted to ask is, so just again talking about some of the newer support for a card like Albion Sanctifier. If somebody isn't using it for a gimmick lock, what is kind of the best scenario to summon or use the effect of Albion Sanctifier?
I've been mostly using it as like a utility card. Just I have a replay here. We'll show it later. But I got Maxx Seed and I just summoned it. And usually, previously I would have gone for a Rinbrum line because Rinbrum is a negate, and if you also pair that with Cartesia, you can get you're threatening an Albion fuse. But I just like the Sanctifier better because now you can just choose to special summon the Albaz whenever you want to.
Yeah. It's also nice to be able to like control, I guess, in a way what the Albaz confused with. I also like, I don't know if you've ever used this to like steal your opponent's stuff, but I imagine that can come up occasionally as well.
Yeah, I've never gotten that effect to go off. It's very rare.
Yeah, they'd have to have something like maybe like a Magnamhut in the graveyard. And also, well, the other thing too is, like you said, because it's so good for setting up Albaz, you would also have to not have anything better to do than stealing their thing. So I could definitely see that. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I guess with that, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at replays with my deck first. And yeah, if you know, again, if you want to jump in, feel free to critique my play, because again, as I've said many times now, you definitely know a lot more what you're doing with this deck than I do. And then we'll take a look at some of your games. Does that sound good to you?
Yep, for sure.
Perfect. So this game, this first one we're going to watch from my 60-card variant is going to be against kind of the mirror match, but they're actually on Labyrinth Branded. These are Duelist Cup games. Normally, I don't write down in advance what the Duelist Cup games are, but I wanted to be prepared since we had a guest on. So, yeah, they're going first, and they immediately start with the Branded Fusion, sending the Draglier here. Have you ever seen this variant before? This, I think, is the first time I've seen this particular variant.
Yeah, I've seen and played so many different variants of Branded. It's just so fun to mess around with.
That's like, Branded does to me kind of seem like, you know, one of the things I like about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is when you can mix and match different archetypes, and Branded seems like very much ready to do that. So yeah, I decided to start with Lubellion just to like see if maybe they would ash it. I thought it was weird that they ash the Branded opening. I don't know, maybe they thought that I was trying to bait specifically that, but I don't know. Do you ever feel like, because to me, and I'm sure a lot of people, the golden rule is like, if you know it's branded, wait for branded fusion if you have Ash. Do you find that to be true, or like, would you have maybe Ash the opening there?
Oh no, you should always wait for branded fusion.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was like some secret sauce I didn't know about, but I was like, I'm pretty sure they should have waited there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'm...
are you...
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you on Virtually Anaconda?
I am. Oh, no, you know what? I am, but I don't think I was for this game, actually. No, I was. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that is actually what I go into here. Or no, right, I have to end because they hadn't used the Banish yet, so... And my last card is Aluber. But my last card is Aluber, so, you know... We're kind of in top deck mode, but my top deck is definitely a lot better than the nothing they drew here. Lubellion's, I don't think, a bad top deck here either.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I already, I think, used Saronir. Or maybe I should have gotten Saronir to set up the Retribution there. They have Maxx C. Actually, I forgot they had a second C. Although, I mean, yet another strength of this deck is it's so flexible in what it does that it can set up the C. So here I set up the Rindbrum. And I guess my reasoning for that is, like, also I wanted to eat their Rindbrum and make sure it wasn't a factor anymore. But I thought to myself, like, okay, if I can summon... I think I go for... Yeah, the Lubellion, and then... I think I make a No, I use the Branded Beast to force the Mirror Jade here. And
yep, that's fine.
And I'm actually... Yeah, and then I get to use the Rindbrum to put it back.
Did they have an Albaz in graveyard?
I don't remember. They don't, actually. Okay. So I didn't actually have to eat it right there.
Yeah. I might have targeted the Mercourier in graveyard to get its effect in your graveyard.
Oh, in our graveyard to get the search.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I didn't even think about that mid-game. I was like so focused on eating my opponent's resource. So, no, that's good. That's good, definitely. So here I'm going to battle... And at this point, I was a little worried because, like, you know, they have 3 cards in hand, but Druiswarm Beast is, like, that's a good amount of disruption.
Yep.
So
you should be fine here.
I got a little... I don't know if I got lucky, how lucky I necessarily got, but, like, they drew kind of all Labyrinth stuff here. So I was like, okay, I think this is better than if they had drawn all branded stuff here, for sure.
That's also the problem I find with branded variants.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you water down the engine so much that it's harder to break boards. Like turn 1, if you open like both of them and you open a good amount of both of them,
mm-hmm.
You can really go off. But sometimes if you're trying to break a board with like a variant, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, definitely. And it seemed like my opponent had a pretty... I mean, they had a Branded Fusion in the back row. Like, they had a pretty decent setup here. And they used that to set up the Shand Dragalier in the yard as well. But... Yeah, no, I find that with Sprite variants sometimes, too. Because I play a lot of those, and, like, sometimes you just, like... Sometimes you rip the starter when you're in top deck mode, and sometimes you rip, like, you know, the random level 2 from another deck.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, yeah, here, we just managed to... We managed to outgrind them. Again, I feel like I got a little bit lucky that they had all Labyrinth cards, like, at the very end there. But, yeah, I definitely note... I'm going to note that, yeah, I could have banished my own Mercourier to add more resources. And especially because, to your point, they didn't have an Albaz in the yard. So it's not like they could have cycled that Rindbrum anyway. So, cool. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next duel here. Okay, so this next game from me here is going to be against Kashtira, and they're actually on like the Tomahawk variant. So once again, we're going to be going second here. We did open the grass, which is potentially something. Okay, they're going to start with the Raitsoth for... So they Raitsoth for Tier Cash, and I was like, okay, this could be just Tier Laments, this could be like a Punk Pile. I feel like when they grab that, it could be anything. But as we're going to see here, the reason they got this one in particular... Can we get banished to Rise Heart? Yeah. Was so they could overlay for the Tomahawk. So at this point, I was kind of like, all right, let's see how much gas Branded has. But I honestly feel like this kind of like a Rorodon board, like, I don't feel like, especially nowadays, it's too difficult for Branded to outplay something like this.
Yeah, you can break a lot of boards with just branded engine most of the time.
For sure. Yeah, and they have so much of it too. It's like that's the thing. Although, you know, it's funny. We're kind of at the, I say quote-unquote end of branded lore, but I feel like there's gotta be more, right? Like, the way they cliffhanged it at the end.
I actually haven't, like, seen, like, the lore.
You're a branded lover and you don't follow the lore? Gasp. That's good. No, it's like, I think the, now I'm trying to remember, actually. I think the part of it that's kind of a cliffhanger is that, like, Aluber never, like, died. He kind of, like, slipped away and took... Oh, I think he took, like, Albaz's jewel and, like, just kind of slipped away or something like that, so... Oh, and Quem. I don't think Quem is actually dead either. I think she's with Aluber. But anyway, yeah, I'm just nerding out as they're doing their stuff here. Okay, here I did actually misplay a little bit. So I really should have eaten this riser earlier. I basically didn't. I should have read Garden Rose Maiden. You know, didn't read Yu-Gi-Oh! Player Moment, etc., etc. But if I had read this sooner, I definitely would have Saronir, the shooting star, out of the graveyard before they had the negate set up. So that was definitely a misplay on my part. I just want to point that out real quick, but. Yeah, I should have just been following. It's like, there's so many times when I'm like, okay, I don't have disruption, and I always tell people not to do this, where I'm like, okay, I'll tab out and look at a video or something, you know, for a minute or two, and it's like, no, if I had paid attention there, I could have actually stopped some of this, but... Okay, so we're playing into a couple of Omnis and the Cashier Unicorn and the Maxi here. The Thrust, I thought, was actually a very interesting top deck here. The big thing that I was trying to figure out going into this turn is how much I valued resolving grass, right? And
I usually like to
go
do
ahead.
it like first action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of maybe I was a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Like jaded about past experiences resolving this and feeling like it did nothing. So what I decided to do was I wanted to see if I could get because I am playing one talent in my deck. I tried to get that here. Well, okay, first I went for the branded opening, as you can see here. I don't know. Should I have gone for the Quem, or should I have just pulled an Aluber anyway? I'm probably just going to normal summon this anyway.
Yeah, the Quem's fine, since you already have Aluber to normal summon.
Yeah, I set up the Retribution, and I don't know, was there a better thing to send than Albion here, do you think?
You could have just sent the Branded Fusion straight to the graveyard.
Oh, that's right, because this is any card that mentions it, and then I could have wheeled it with... Oh, you're so right. I had a feeling that I was missing something big, and this is what it was here, for sure. Okay. So yeah, this is definitely me getting used to new cards here. So yeah, they ate one of the two Mirror Jades, which was very confusing to me. I was like, that's 100% fine. Normal the Aluber, that's going to force the Boar Load. At this point, I still have the Grass and the Thrust. This was the point where I felt like I kind of had to make a decision, and this was the point where I end up committing to the idea of talents. I don't know, I was thinking like I could pop Baron, or no, I could take Baron, battle over Elf, pop the Boar Load, is that what I was thinking here? Because that also leaves their Unicorn, but... Yeah, I really wish I would have, yeah, then this gets negated. Yeah, I really wish I would have sent that Branded Fusion. Like you said, that definitely would have been the way, for sure. I guess that's any card that mentions it. And yeah, I get to set up the Retribution there, so... Okay, so here I'm going to try to see if I can get this talent. And I do manage to take control of the Baron, but the problem is... Here, hang on.
Yeah, they just banish our graveyard here.
Yeah. Well, we can at least wheel the opening back. I was like, whatever, we'll do that. The problem is the IP. I totally forgot about this IP in the graveyard. And again, me not watching the graveyard and me not paying attention to their turn one is definitely what kind of... Well, part of what did me in here. Again, sending that Branded Fusion was also part of it. Yeah, now they get to go for... I think just go for Nightmare Unicorn here, actually. Which I thought they were going to go for Underworld Goddess. I was kind of surprised it was Unicorn, but... That is still going to be enough here. Yeah, I just ended up conceding.
That Nibiru in hand.
Yeah, the Nibiru for the last card in hand, too. Like, even if I had gone off, because they max seed, too, yeah, even if I had gone off. But yeah, no, I definitely wanted to have us watch that game, because, like, I had this feeling, like I said, I had this feeling there was an interaction I was missing in, and you said, yeah, it was sending the Branded Fusion, for sure.
And if the first time you added it to hand, if you add it to hand with Retribution, if they Baron negate it, after you resolve Grass, if you send a Tragedy to the graveyard, you should just not activate the effect, and then you can use the Tragedy effect to set the Branded Fusion.
You're right, because Retribution is once per turn, right? I do play 2 of those, but no, you're right. I could have, you not activate Tragedy and do the other effect, and then just set it. Oh, that's good. That's good. All right. Cool. Yeah. So we saw those games from me, but also we definitely want to see some games from your variant as well. So let's go into those now. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of Jay's games. They've got a couple lined up for us here. Does it matter which one we start with?
Nope. Any's fine.
We'll go from the bottom up here. So what's this game all about?
I'm not actually sure. I don't remember.
It's all good. We'll go right into it and see how this ends up playing out. Looks like we are taking the first turn here.
Okay, yeah. This game I didn't have access to Branded Fusion.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, definitely good to know what to do in that case. So yeah, we got the Aluber Tragedy, so that's already looking really good. God, it's so nice getting that +1. Or
yeah,
Aluber Tragedy. Okay, the
Impermed Aluber here.
So, okay, this is actually something I kind of want to ask real quick. When it comes to infinite impermanence, I never know whether to use it on Aluber or save it for the Fusion Albion effect. What do you think?
I usually like to Imperm Aluber. Mm-hmm. The only punish to Imperm in Aluber is if they hard drew Branded Fusion. And if you allow them to make the big Albion, they can still make plays by tributing it for Lubellion.
That's true. That's very true. And to your point, if Branded Fusion's only at 1, then it's not nearly as likely they have that. So, okay, we got the Quem and the Branded in white. Banishing the Mercourier, always good. This Rindbrum in particular is so good. This card's kind of ridiculous. Obviously all of the Branded boss monsters are good, but this one being able to negate and bounce and then also come back, it's so good. Okay, we're making... Okay, yep, here's the Albion.
I just went for the standard line that I would have gone for if I had resolved the Branded Fusion.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay. God, this deck. Oh no, Branded Fusion? Darn. Anyway, Rindbrum, Mirror Jade, Aluber, Quem, Super Poly. So good. Oh yeah, and getting to bounce the Aluber is another very good interaction too.
Yeah, for follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we're up against Lab here. We're setting up the Retribution, that makes sense. Counter Trap, negate the Welcome.
I was actually planning to set the Branded Banishment to get a double Mirror Jade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when I saw they were on Lab, I just went for the Retribution.
Makes sense, yeah. Okay, so they're using the Entis, but we've got the Rindbrum F. There's the Ecclesia they got off the Nadir Servant. Yep, we can Maxx C here. Oh yeah, you mentioned this earlier in the profile, and I have seen this on a couple of lists. How good is the Nadir Servant package in Branded?
I'm not playing it. It's fine if your Branded Fusion gets Ash, and even if it doesn't get Ash, then you just have way more plays on top of the Branded Fusion. Mm. But going second, I don't really like having cards like that, especially since it locks you to the extra deck for the entire turn. Yeah.
Gotcha. I see we're in the main phase 3 here. That's good. Yep, and there's the Retribution for their big welcome. So good. Wow, and we just we did that so quickly. We grinded them out of resources and God, we just have 6 cards on field, 3 in hand. They have 2 cards total. And this is Lab. That's usually what Lab does to other decks. And we did it to them on their turn. That's so gross. Oh, that's good. And without Branded Fusion as well. This deck is nasty. Let's go ahead and see that other duel here. All right, we are jumping right in with this other duel here. Taking a look at Jay's games. Let's see what we got. Let's see how we open. Okay, so here we have the Foolish. Okay, we are on 2 Tragedy. Oh yeah, we are on 2 Tragedy. It's on the list. I still have that open right over here. Do you like playing 2 Tragedy for this reason, or just in general because it's a good card?
Yeah, for that exact reason.
Mm-hmm.
I just like having like one to always be in deck.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, this is the game that I went for the Sanctifier on the Maxx.
Oh, okay, yeah. You were talking about that in the profile, so they make C, and we're just gonna Sanctifier Branded High. This card also, Branded High Spirits. I feel like sometimes people sleep on this card. This is a really, really good card.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's such a good card.
I've opened it with Quem and made like a full board on the Nibiru.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they have a Dark Hole. Okay. What is this gonna be? Oh, it's Pearly with Dark Hole. That's an interesting tech. Okay, so they got the My Friend. But we have the Banishment. And the Nib, too. How have you been liking Nib?
I just added it today while I was just getting these games in.
Oh, right.
I've been just testing it.
Yeah, I think with Dragon Link being more popular nowadays, it's definitely not a bad pick for sure. And also, Mathmech actually nowadays does have a harder time playing against it because they don't have room for Link Spider anymore. There's the Mercourier. Also very... I feel like every time a branded card resolves, I'm like, God, that's such a good card. God, that's such a good card. Speaking of good cards, here's Albaz.
Here's Albaz.
Ooh, we're fusing with the Pearly. Ah, of course, for the Albion. That's any light monster. Yep. Banishing for the... Yep, here's the Mirror Jade. It probably helps a lot, too, with light and darks being everywhere in this format.
Yeah. You just get to steal any of their monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, eating their Lily. They're taking our Albion. It doesn't happen a lot, but more times than it should. Like, I'll like triple attack and take a Mirror Jade, and I'll be like, yeah, now I can. Oh wait, I don't have branded cards. I don't have branded cards in my extra deck. Okay, they're going for the happiness here, but they can't OTK, so they're just gonna smack into the defense mode. Oh, they're gonna try to battle over the Mirror Jade. I see. Okay. Well, that's definitely fine. Oh no, are they gonna pretty... I see what they're doing. They're gonna pretty memory and just eat the Mirror Jade and not proc it. But won't they still have to give us our Albion back unless they're gonna link with it? Ooh, we have the Ringbrim here.
Yeah, I just did that to chain blocks of the happiness.
Yeah, it wouldn't be able to attach. That makes sense. Okay. I always forget that. Yep, it's a win. Imagine this is Zeus. Yep. No downer. It's interesting. Okay. Board wipe, and I was gonna say we're in top deck mode, but it's never quite it's never quite that that's never quite the case for Branded, is it? You gotta get our mandatory +2 at the end phase there. Anyway, top deck Aluber. That's good. Not that we needed it though. We had the opening already, so.
Yep. Yeah, I would have gone for the Quem that time to send Retribution to just grab back the Branded Fusion in graveyard.
That makes sense, yeah. Just get that nice and clean. Cool. So yeah, there's quite a few games with Branded there. So I guess before we end off here, one last thing that that I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious about this too, especially from someone who knows more about Branded. As far as like tier goes, where would you put Branded? Do you think it is still a tier 2 deck, or do you think this is enough to push it into tier 1?
Branded's definitely tier 1 right now, for sure.
Right on. And I'm actually inclined to agree with that, honestly, after seeing, but again, playing both with and against the new support, seeing tournament results, I'm personally definitely inclined to agree with that. So, well, Jay, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on. Super appreciated again. A lot of you probably know them as I Miss Him or other fun names you've entered in tournaments with. If you had any socials you wanted to plug or anything you wanted to plug, feel free to.
Nope. Just thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. I love talking about this deck. I love playing this deck. So thank you so much.
Yeah, totally. I would definitely love to have you on again sometime to talk about this deck some more. For sure. Yeah. Thanks again, Jay, for coming on. And thank you, everybody, for watching, especially all the way to the end like this. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions, I offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.